far the gap is between the WTA and ATP, just because I'm not in the ATP circuit. I think the WTA is a great platform for us professional women tennis players, though I think it gives us a lot of.
The phone lines at the Lindner Family Tennis Center had been jammed for days. The ticketing system crashed not once, but twice. Tournament director Bob Moran, a man who had watched Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams pack the stands for over 2 decades, was staring at numbers that defied all logic. 7,433,076. That was the total prize money on the line at the 2026 Cincinnati Open, a staggering 44% increase from the previous year. And at the center of it all, standing on the brink of history, was a 21-year-old from Quezon City who had turned the tennis world upside down. Alexandra Eala had received a first-round bye as the number 17 seed, her highest seeding ever in a WTA 1000 tournament. She had already earned $26,255 just by stepping onto the court. But she wasn't here for the money. She was here for something far more personal. Revenge. 2 years ago, Elena-Gabriela Ruse had denied Eala what would have been her first main draw appearance in a Grand Slam. The Romanian had hacked out a 3-6, 6-1, 6-4 victory in the third qualifying round of the 2024 U.S. Open, crushing the Filipina's dreams on the sport's biggest stage. Back then, Eala was ranked number 153 in the world, a promising but unproven teenager. Today, she walked onto the court as world number 20. A champion with a WTA Tour title, a Wimbledon fourth-round appearance, and a 7-match winning streak under her belt. The stadium was packed. Thousands of Filipino flags waved in the stands, a sea of red, white, and blue that stretched from the front rows to the highest rafters. Now dubbed as one of the crowd darlings in the tennis world, the 21-year-old Filipina pride enjoyed a rock star treatment with sellout crowds and packed stadiums. This was not just a tennis match. This was a reckoning, a statement, a moment that would define Eala's season. And when the final point was played, the crowd didn't just cheer. They exploded. Welcome to the story of a champion's revenge, a crowd's devotion, and a young woman who proved that she belongs among the greatest in the sport. August 22nd, 2024. Flushing Meadows, New York. The U.S. Open qualifying rounds. A 19-year-old Alexandra Eala stepped onto the court with a dream in her heart and a nation on her shoulders. She was just one win away from her first main draw appearance in a Grand Slam. Standing across the net was Elena-Gabriela Ruse, a 26-year-old Romanian ranked number 122 in the world. Ruse was a grinder, a player who refused to quit, who thrived on chaos, who had been on the tour long enough to know how to handle young, hungry opponents. The first set went Eala's way, 6-3. The Filipina was playing with the confidence of someone who believed she belonged. The dream was within reach. Then the wheels came off. Ruse adjusted her game. She attacked Eala's serve, exploited the teenager's inexperience, and flipped the match on its head. The second set was a demolition, 6-1. The third was a battle of wills, but Ruse emerged victorious, 6-4. The loss was devastating. Eala had come so close, only to have her dream snatched away at the final hurdle. She walked off the court with tears in her eyes, the weight of disappointment heavy on her shoulders. The Romanian had taken a 1-0 lead in their head-to-head record. I remember that match vividly. Eala would later reflect. I was so close. I could taste it, and then it was gone. But that defeat did not break her. It forged her. In the 2 years that followed, Eala transformed herself. She worked tirelessly on her serve, her ground strokes, her mental fortitude. She climbed the rankings slowly but surely, proving herself against the best players in the world. She reached the 4th round at Wimbledon, stunning defending champion Iga Swiatek along the way. She captured her first WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., defeating a murderer's row of opponents that included Zheng Qinwen, Leylah Fernandez, Naomi Osaka, Elena Svitolina, and world number 3 Jessica Pegula. By August 2026, Eala had climbed to a career-high world number 20. She had played more matches than any other player on the WTA Tour, earning her the title of the busiest player on tour. She was no longer the teenager who had been denied at the U.S. Open qualifiers. She was a champion, and now, fate had delivered her the perfect opportunity for payback. Ruse had advanced to the second round of the Cincinnati Open after demolishing Magda Linette of Poland in straight sets, 6-0, 6-3. The Romanian had shown she was in form, wasting little time against Linette and taking control from the opening game. The stage was set for a rematch. Eala had been waiting for this moment for 2 years, and she was not going to let it slip away. The 2026 season had been defined by one word for Alex Eala: redemption. After her loss to Ruse at the 2024 U.S. Open qualifiers, Eala had embarked on what fans and media alike dubbed her revenge tour. She had faced opponents who had previously beaten her, and she had defeated every single one of them. First, it was Mexico's Renata Zarazua. Then Australia's Maya Joint, then Poland's Iga Swiatek, a stunning victory at Wimbledon that announced Eala's arrival on the biggest stage. Then China's Zheng Qinwen, a 4-6, 6-4, 6-1 comeback victory in the first round of the Washington Open. Then Canada's Leylah Fernandez, a 6-2, 7-61 win over the defending champion. Then U.S. ace Jessica Pegula in the Washington Open final, a 4-6, 6-4, 6-0 triumph that left the tennis world stunned. Each victory was a statement. Each win was a step toward proving that the defeats of the past no longer defined her. Now, Ruse was next on our list. Much had changed since that 2024 U.S. Open loss. Eala had climbed to a career-high number 20 in the world, while Ruse currently sat at number 77. Eala entered the tournament with renewed confidence after a brief respite following a grueling 2-week stretch. She had captured her breakthrough WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., where she overpowered the very players that once beat her. The Cincinnati Open was the third stop of Eala's North American swing, following her title run at the Washington Open and her 4th-round campaign at the Canadian Open. It was her final major tune-up before the U.S. Open, where she hoped to make a deep run. But first, she had to get past Ruse. The Romanian was no pushover. At 28 years old, she was a seasoned veteran with a career-high ranking of number 51. She had reached the semifinals of a Grand Slam in doubles twice. She had beaten Eala before, and she knew exactly how to frustrate the Filipina's game. But Eala was not the same player she had been in 2024. She was stronger, faster, and mentally tougher. She had improved her serve, developed a devastating forehand and learned how to close out matches against top-ranked opponents. With a first round by under her belt, Eala was rested and ready. The crowd was behind her. The nation was watching, and the revenge tour was about to continue. The atmosphere inside the Lindner Family Tennis Center was electric. The stands were filled to capacity with Filipino fans who had traveled from across the United States to support their heroine. One group of friends had planned their entire college reunion around a trip to Cincinnati specifically to watch Eala play. The friends were now based in different parts of the United States, but they coordinated their schedules, booked flights, and traveled across the country, all for the chance to see the Filipina star compete. Another fan had watched Eala in Toronto at the National Bank Open, then drove 8 hours to Cincinnati for another chance to see her. Now, they were about to witness something special. Eala walked onto the court with the confidence of a champion. She knew what was at stake. She knew what this match meant, not just for her ranking, but for her legacy. From the very first point, Eala took control. Her serve was dialed in. Her ground strokes were precise. Her movement was effortless. The crowd roared with every point, their chants echoing through the stadium. Now dubbed as one of the crowd darlings in the tennis world, the 21-year-old Filipina pride enjoyed a rock star treatment with sellout crowds and packed stadiums. Ruse fought back as expected. She was a grinder, a player who refused to quit. She pushed Eala to her limits, testing the Filipina's resolve. But this time, Eala did not waver. She did what champions do. She regrouped. She refocused. And she unleashed a barrage of tennis that Ruse simply could not handle. The final scoreline was a statement. Eala had crushed her former tormentor. The revenge was complete. The crowd erupted. The flags waved. The chants of Laban, Alex, echoed through the stadium like thunder. Eala raised her arms in celebration, a smile spreading across her face. She had done it. She had exorcised the ghost of 2024. She had proven that she was no longer the teenager who had been denied at the US Open qualifiers. She was a champion. The victory was not just about revenge. It was about momentum. Eala had extended her winning streak against former conquerors. She had advanced to the third round of the Cincinnati Open, a tournament she was playing for the very first time, and she had done it in front of a crowd that had made her feel like she was playing at home. "It's an amazing experience," Eala said after the match. "It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis. Hopefully, it will help grow the sport as well and, in the end, give them something new and joyful experience." The crowd went absolutely mad. The Cincinnati Open is one of the most prestigious events on the WTA calendar. In 2026, the total prize money had skyrocketed to $7,433,076, a 44% increase from the previous year. It was a testament to the tournament's growing status as one of the most significant stops on the women's tour. For Eala, the financial stakes were significant. Just by entering the tournament, she had earned $26,255, approximately P1.6 million. With her victory over Ruse, she advanced to the round of 32, increasing her prize money to $47,375, roughly P2.9 million. But for Eala, the money was secondary. What mattered was the opportunity to compete against the best players in the world on one of the biggest stages in tennis. The Cincinnati Open features an expanded 96-player singles draw, with 32 seeded players receiving first-round byes. It is the third-largest tennis event in the United States, behind only the U.S. Open and the Miami Open, with 1,000 WTA ranking points on the line. The tournament is a crucial stepping stone for players looking to make a deep run at the U.S. Open. Eala's victory over Ruse set up a third-round showdown against either her close friend Zeynep Sönmez of Turkey or world number 10 Amanda Anisimova of the United States. A deep run in Cincinnati could also set Eala up for a series of rematches against top 10 players. A potential showdown against reigning Wimbledon champion and 6th seed Linda Noskova awaited the Filipina deeper into the draw. Other notable players in her bracket were two-time Grand Slam finalist Amanda Anisimova and 3rd seed Jessica Pegula. But the path would not be easy. Noskova had beaten Eala twice in 2026, 6-2, 6-0 at Indian Wells, and 6-2, 6-4 in the Berlin Open semifinals. Pegula would be seeking revenge for her loss to Eala in the Washington Open final. Eala, however, was undeterred. She had already beaten top-ranked players. She had proven that she could compete with anyone on any given day. And with the support of a nation behind her, she was ready to take on the world. The victory over Ruse was a milestone for Eala, but it was also a milestone for the sport of tennis. Never before had a player ranked outside the top 10 generated this kind of ticket demand. Never before had a player's matches been moved to center court simply because of the size of the crowd they attracted. Never before had a player's presence turned a tennis tournament into a cultural phenomenon. Eala draws large crowds, especially from Filipino communities abroad, helping to sell out tournaments and bringing new fans to the women's tour. Now, she not only comes to events as a legitimate force, but also one who packs venues to the rafters because of the strong support coming from Filipino communities abroad. In Washington, she had captured her first WTA Tour singles title at the Mubadala DC Open, feeding off a flag-waving Filipino crowd that packed the stadium. In Toronto, the 12,500-seater arena was packed with Filipino fans, bringing a typical Filipino barangay basketball league atmosphere to the usually hushed tennis matches. For the first time in 2 decades, the opening Wednesday night match was sold out. Now, in Cincinnati, the same phenomenon was unfolding on an even larger scale. Fans had traveled from across the United States, from California, from Texas, from New York, from Florida, just to watch Eala play. "I've never seen anything like this," one fan told reporters. "She's not just a tennis player. She's our champion. She's representing all of us." Even the game's biggest stars had taken notice. Coco Gauff had welcomed Eala's impact as a big development for the women's tour. Eala herself had been moved by the support. "It's an amazing experience," she said. "It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis. Hopefully, it will help grow the sport as well, and in the end, give them something new and joyful experience." She paused, reflecting on what the support meant to her. Keep in mind that no culture can be summed up in just a couple of words. Filipino culture, and every culture in general, is very layered. It's very layered. So when we say Filipino culture, it's family, community, hospitality, love, and kindness. As Eala walked off the court, her victory over Ruse secure, the crowd continued to cheer. They had witnessed history. They had seen a champion rise, and they knew that this was just the beginning. From the cracked courts of Quezon City, where tennis was a luxury, to the center courts of Cincinnati, where she had broken every ticket record in tournament history, Alex Eala had proven that champions don't just win matches, they move mountains. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the center courts of Cincinnati, where she has broken every ticket record in tournament history, Alex Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches, they move mountains. And the thousands of Filipino-American fans who flooded the Lindner Family Tennis Center, who planned their college reunions around her matches, who drove 8 hours from Toronto, who traveled across the country just to see her play, they knew it all along. The WTA is in shock. Bob Moran is stunned. And the Cincinnati Open will never be the same. Cincinnati erupted. Ruse was sent packing. And the celebration has only just begun.